Well, hello. How is everybody? How does that look? Look, it's almost long enough I can look like I got hair. Put that hat off. I have a right to look how I look, and so do you. So does anyone out there listening. Guys, I want to tell y'all something today. I am in the ghetto hotel to end all ghettos. That is where I am at and in right now. I am. I don't want to name drop people. People doing the best they can. I'm at the ghetto hotel though. But I laugh because I think it's funny. But I talked to someone out in the parking lot. They kind of caught my attention and real friendly, real positive energy. That's the thing I'm noticing about people out here. They're really, really friendly for the most part. They have good energy. The hotel was $50. I'm gonna get this hotel. Cause I'm a little ghetto myself personally. I've been known to listen to DMX a time or two. Shh. That's some old music, but still, that's oldie but a goodie. Just damn hair on my head. I said I'm gonna have hair right here. God gonna make my hair grow so long it look like I got a giant lion mane on my head. All is well. Everything's going pretty good. Yeah. I think that separation in like something like twin flames, it can be good. It doesn't always feel so great. Doesn't always feel so great, but it can be good. To tell you the truth, I took a lot of my focus off of I took a lot, not all, but I took a lot more than I should have, off of God and devotion and worship and all of that. Whenever Carmen's around, I tend to do that. God made no mistake when he made her. That's for sure. But it's last night I'm gonna tell you something, a little bit of testimony there. I hate using those stupid words. You know why they all sound like the court system takes from them, of course, because the court system didn't always exist. But those words, there's a reason that the court system borrows them to do their legalistic magic, right? Because rabbis used to find the loopholes in God's word and law a long time ago, right? And they're basically acting as lawyers. They're arguing with God about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Not all of them were, but that is a little joke. Sure, a lot of them were though. Not all. Ooh. No. I saw that because the e-ink has to reset, so it takes a second, so I get to see some of these expressions I make before they wipe away. It's 9:33 here, by the way. Well, it was. That was what time it was whenever I turned the screen on and got settled in here. Right before that, I was just thinking what I just talked about, that that I took a lot of my focus off of God, and that tends to happen whenever Carmen enters the picture. What can I say? Now, you can hear me say things like that, and then you can hear me say things like, I am God and you are God, because you got to understand what I mean, okay? God, you know how we use English. Certain phrases and words take on completely different meanings based on the context of how we use them. So whenever I say something like, I am God, or you are God, or the dog is God, or the trees are God, everything is God, essentially, the easiest way to understand it logically is, it's like, so the source, just imagine it. It's not the sun, but imagine it like the sun. You see a picture of a sun, and you got rays coming off of that sun, right? Well, imagine a circle of light, like the sun in that example. That is God. And the beams of light are God, and the beams of light are energy, because that's what light is. And that makes up everything and everyone and beyond. And so everything is God, but there is a source that is referenced as the Most High God, or the divine. So you kind of develop an ear and a way to understand spiritual things like that. Because if you don't, when you hear me go back and forth, I'm God, and then I'm worshiping God, and I'm praying to God, it's confusing. It can be confusing if you don't understand what I just said. But I take a lot of my focus off. And a lot of it goes on Carmen. I'm not going to apologize. All right, listen. I've gave this story a bunch of times. I gave this story a bunch of times and talked about this a bunch of times. God couldn't get me to come out here for whatever reason that may be. When everything is ultimately God in motion, energy in motion, right? Everything is life in motion. It all comes from God. Some people call it soul contracts. Other people call it the will of God, or God's plan, or something like that. It's like it's a deep thing. It's an interesting thing. The mechanics and the essence of everything matter. Everything else is just superficial physical stuff and concepts, and placed in use of those mechanics as mechanics in action and use. But God couldn't get me to come out here when they legalized weed in Colorado, right? Not in Colorado. He couldn't get me to come west. He tried to lure me out here with that. It was that one day. Then it was other things throughout different phases of my life and different things I found interesting. I noticed that there would be something happening out here on this side of the country in correlation to what I was into stuff I was really, really into, but I wouldn't move. And then as I was going through some radical changes and learning how to forgive and learning how to understand and learning how to use empathy and learning how to let go and learning sympathy and all these things and letting the heart crack and open and be healed and heal and all those things that I write about and that I've shared about numerous times, God then did something else. Out of nowhere, he puts, it's so funny, it's such a modern love story too. right? The internet is involved in everything now. Why not romance in a different way besides dating apps and things of that nature, right? If you're a little older, dating websites. But I was in like a Kundalini awakening group, and there she was. And at the time, I didn't even know that was a woman. I thought it was like we're in a Kundalini group. And at that time, right before this event, like probably a week or two, I had started getting these things. I was trying to understand why my mouth kept running on its own. And I thoughts entered my head that you could have a twin that maybe at birth, some twins, like, they absorb the other one in the womb, and no one knows about it until years later some kind of weird health problem is happening with the one that absorbed them, and the doctor does some x-ray and says, you've got just that looks like I don't know what it looks like like a fetus or something in there, and you go, you're a man though. And they've determined people can do that, and the twin can continue to grow like that and shit, like a growth of some kind. I thought it might have been I had theorized and speculated and hypothesized maybe I absorbed a twin or something at birth that was undetected. And I'm a spiritual person, so I'm an open skeptic. I want to believe. I want to get in on the believing action with you. If it goes bump in the night and you can't see it, but you can feel it, I want to know more. But I digress. I thought maybe I had absorbed a twin or something, and they were just running my mouth for me. Yeah, I just, okay, I'm going to, and I kept going, and one day I just shut my mouth. And I wasn't going to open it, no matter how much I was compelled to open it. And then all kinds of stuff happened. When the energy couldn't pour out here, it kept going. All kinds of spiritual phenomenon started to happen. My Kundalini awakened when I simply just shut the fuck up for like a few days. No matter how bad that empire, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't open my mouth. And I felt the energy start to make new passages and things all through my head. And, oh my God, I am at the Ghetto Hotel USA right now. You can hear these walls. But after, not too long after all that stuff happened, I was just hanging out in a group, learning, Jesus walking hand in hand with me in the spirit, showing me strategies and ways that I could heal myself internally. And then there she was. And of course, at the time, I didn't know it was a woman. Because I wouldn't talk to another woman at the time. I was that, if you want to call it loyalty, you can, whatever it is. But that was something I didn't do. You don't talk to, you don't talk to another member of the opposite sex. You're with someone, because my thinking at the time, that's not so anymore. My thinking at the time was that men and women, they have sex with each other. You start making friends with women, for some reason, I get naturally, I'm before you know it, I'd be having sex with them, right? And I knew that, so I didn't do that. So I thought she was a man. She's not a man. That is 100% woman. That is the most feminine woman I have ever met in my life. This is how God does things. Don't make her look feminine in front of him, because when he clicks her profile and sees her pictures, he's not. he's gonna leave this one alone. So he was in a Facebook group having some stupid little back and forth with somebody, and there she was. She originally talked to me and said some insightful things and showed a meme and stuff. And then the next day I was in that group and I was doing what you do on Facebook before you know better. Blood sport, right? Blood sport, debating and arguing. And she popped in and she intervened and she was trying to be a peacemaker and a peacekeeper. And something about that, it was a feeling. Call it as strange as you want. But through the internet, someone I had never talked to and shared a brief comment in a comment section, I felt a connection. I felt something familiar. I experienced the phenomenon. And that's why whenever I talk about it, I testify it is real. Israel is real. Is real. And so I sent them a friend request and started talking to them. And all these events, I already wrote about them and everything. You go read about them, go watch the videos. I documented most of it. And the times I came and was fortunate enough to be able to spend time with Carmen, I got to observe, and I saw myself in her and how she dealt with things and talked to people and interacted with the world when she wasn't even aware. She was just natural. She was just being her natural self. And I could see that is exactly how I would do those things. And what I would say whenever I was going through whatever it is, I saw it. So I ultimately came to the conclusion that there are two answers ultimately to this phenomenon. There are two possible answers. One is true. Either that woman is some long distant, long lost relative of mine, like some long distant cousin, and we have the genetics that just make us act the same. Or it's as they say, a twin flame thing. Now, I don't know if everything they say about twin flames is true. I think that sometimes there are hard truths that we aren't prepared to, and we aren't ready, and we don't want to accept as true, and so we say that can't be true. But it could very well be true. I don't know. Later on, if we continue on the path and it's revealed to us, maybe we revisit some things that we could have swore were not true, and we say, yeah, that just seems like it fits now. That seems right now. That seems true. But I do want to say that, like, whatever it is, I think that there are times when it is good to take a break from other people who we see every day. And I think that there's these phases of a twin flame thing, right? And separation is a big part of them. That's where you do your healing and you're supposed to do your inner work, because you get thrown around on this journey. It's like riding a spiritual bull. And you can start to resent each other. And you can love each other at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. It is very confusing. And the only way to ultimately fix it is you got to go to the root and the source, and you got to become aware of why you're doing that. Why does that bother you? And then you can let it go, and the resentment will go away, because what they originally did that caused the resentment, or what you originally did that caused resentment in them, it'll go with it, and the resentment will vanish. And you develop the tools and the skills to not flip out, and you're supposed to see it when I'm triggered. It's not their fault, because ultimately I have full control of my feelings. And sometimes we do forget that, because feelings can be very powerful. They can be very strong, and I do think it's a good thing, because what I said earlier, when Carmen comes around, Kurt's heart, mind, and body, all they want to do is obsess over Carmen and write poetry about Carmen, think about Carmen, and all those things. And so separation is a healthy thing, because there's a part of me when that's happening that's saying, hey man, I know when are you going to have time to do anything else? Like, you've got a life you've got to live. You've got things you've got to do. Every time she comes around, it's like you might be there, but your focus is just completely on her. And a lot of ways, can see the wisdom in being able to do this part by myself, because I have to be able to focus and take care of the body's needs, and I have to be able to receive what God has for me. And if my attention's everywhere else, it doesn't matter what he gives me. If my attention's all on Carmen, I'm not going to be able to pay attention to what he gives me. I'm not going to be able to be grateful. I'm not going to be able to give thanks about it. I'm not going to be able to tell other people how great God is. And I personally think he should take it as a compliment. Could you imagine the guy who made the DeLorean? I think he designed like the grand the GTO and some really cool cars back in the day. I think his name was John DeLorean. I think he made really cool cars back in the day. Can you imagine like that? Be like, I think it's a compliment. It's like, Lord, I really like this creation of yours in every way. But God's got other things for us too, and this part I've got to do on my own. I mean, I seems like it's going pretty well. I've got the land out of the way. I'm working on the vehicles. I'm about to get off of here and look up a few in this area, and I'm going to take a look at them. I'm waiting on to hear back about a Silverado with a 4.3 and a 5-speed or 6-speed transmission. I think it's a 5 with a long bed on it, 8-foot bed. Now that right there, that's what you need. The only thing it lacks is 4-wheel drive. Probably don't need 4-wheel drive, to be honest with you. Where I'm staying, where I picked land out, that ground is hard as a rock. We'll see. We'll see what happens. On the way back, I'm gonna stop back out there, and I'll probably drive the Jeep around in 2-wheel drive just to see if the thing sinks. The ground felt pretty hard though, so I believe that it'll be fine. Yeah, but other than that, it's going pretty good. If I don't hear back about this Silverado tomorrow about noon or 1 o'clock, I'm gonna head it back on in. I'm gonna head on back out to Reno. I'm gonna hang it up on that one because the rental car's got to go back on Tuesday to the rental airport, to the Reno airport. My plan was very simple. I could return it after buying it from the guy, get on a plane, fly back to the part of Utah he's in because the airport's right by his house, and then go go pick it up from him, and then just drive it back. At the moment, back to the land that I got, and then probably try to find a motor home, something I can drive to the spot that's in good shape, so if I need to I can move it and stuff. And then I look into a septic tank, and then a cistern, and then I need to find a solution to power. Harbor Freight's got some pretty good solar panel stuff now. You just plug them in, and it lasts for a good bit of time. I could probably get by with that. I'm planning on spending most of my day outside anyway. And just add on to that as time goes by. There's plenty of sun out here in Nevada. Make your own power. There is a geothermal place basically across the street from the property. I'm gonna check it with them and see if they see what their deal is. Yeah, so it'll work out pretty good. I have a feeling, because in the summertime, I'm not really too worried about it. Winter comes along, I'm gonna need to be able to power a heater, or it's gonna be real cold out there. But I should be just fine. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see what happens next, won't we? I'm gonna go to bed. I'm pretty tired. Yeah, good luck out there. I hope everything goes y'all's way.